Matsuzaki opens up the blade, catches the US unsighted.
As Ireland goes for another hammer, this one arching over the top.
The high relief flick. What a cheeky shot.
To Gaskill for the win.
The scenes here are set in Spain for a fantastic day of semi-final action from the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships 2025. The fans gathering into the stands. All the volunteers have everything perfect. The scene is set and we are framed for such a great matchup. Here in the women's semi-finals, this side, the Japan side, Japan women versus the Canadians, a rematch from the Pool B stages. Lorcan Murray, what are you expecting today?
Well, this is a real vintage ultimate matchup. As you can see, Japan and Canada have been going at it for literally decades. The coaches know each other well, and these two sides, well, they're a little bit familiar too, as of a universe point match earlier in the week, which Canada came out on top of by 1 point. But both teams know these are games of runs, and it will be about who can stay the steadiest for the longest. We have a quick look at the power pool standings, and you can see Canada coming out very strongly out of Pool D. Japan only falling to the United States in that game we showed yesterday, which you could watch. So the top two teams from the power pools going through to these semi-finals.
Indeed, those final power pool matches, lovely to kind of still give us that quarter-final feeling. Of course, the USA and Canada were just playing to wrap everything up. And you can see, of course, that other side of this Women's Championship bracket will be happening on our sister stream. So looking, of course, at the Canadian side of things, it's Toronto's Monica Wang who will be taking our player to watch accolade this fine morning, wrapping up the stats board. But, of course, it's such a fully flushed Canadians women programme, really overdoing the expectations coming into this tournament.
And then on the other side, Kasumi Nasu has been such a leader for this, known as the Jet Girl. Incredibly quick, comes from a long line of ultimate heritage, both her parents playing and representing Nippon Sports Science University. She was there in 2023 and was a part of the World Championship team in 2024 down on the Gold Coast. So at every level she has been there with Japan and has been growing into her role, a real leader for this side, and someone they will have to turn to, I'm sure, during this game, as we're expecting fireworks across the pitch this morning.
Well, of course, both teams will have had plenty of chances to cohere together, to bring their best magic to the fore here. I certainly am very excited to get a chance, after watching the college championship coverage from our hardworking crew at Ultiworld, to see some of the UBC athletes, the Thunderbirds, of course, taking that US title a few short weeks ago. So hopefully they will be coming out here ready to play. Of course, massive thanks to all of our medical staff, the physios, the team managers, the coaches and the captains for bringing us to this women's division semi-final stage.
I would like to send out a specific arigato to Yuri Kitamura, who is one of the team managers for Japan, but also has been a wonderful interpreter. So it will be Japan starting off on defense. You can see them allayed and ready to raid this Canadian O-line. Last time these two teams faced off against each other, it was similar. Canada started on offense, but Japan were quick to fire into a 2-1 lead. Let's see how it all plays out, Hannah.
Well, getting us started with simplicity, some zone from the Japanese. Not surprising to see they use that passive flat arrowhead quite frequently. Just casually dishing it around the back. I like this from Canada women, although it looks relatively tentative, just taking the easy options. Now they find some space, but that is just maybe some nerves here. Erica Edgell can't find the rim of the disc. So big opportunity to take the early lead. Ishikawa to start us off. Japan's set plays when they come out from the pool have been fantastic. A lead into space, but it's a lead into danger because the Canadians are ready to defend. Little stumble, but doesn't matter. Actually opens up the channel across to Lyonnais. So this is much better. That almost the stumble giving them the ability to get to half field. Oh, but that's a spill. Canada trying to lace it through the front jaws of the zone. Now Japan. Both sides not clicking and humming with the perfect matriculation we've seen them in other games so far this championship, Lorcan.
And it is an interesting point with the Japanese zone and the lack of pressure it can sometimes put on the dump handlers. It makes it look like there's always a free throw, but really what they're doing is just feeding you enough rope that you can then tie yourself up in knots. As we've seen the Canadians, when they get the flow going, trying to go back to the middle, forcing things, rushing things a little bit too much. I will say, I don't think that's going to work for the rest of the game. I'm a little surprised to work this well on the opening point. I would have thought Canada would be a bit more prepared, especially considering how well they played against it in the latter halves of their first encounter.
Saying that the pick call was much earlier.
Okay.
But I only stopped counting when she realized that there was a pick at stall 7.
Okay, so you're saying that the pick affected play or didn't affect the play?
No, like what the stall count is coming in at, because
So a pick, if there is a pick call and play stops, it comes back in on maximum 6.
maximum
Okay?
6. So it's
Yeah?
no
Okay.
worries.
Because all our games in this championship bracket will be fully game advised. This pitch in front of us, we've got Kat Gale on the far side and Sheila Quintos on the near side. Ishikawa on the goal line, squeaks it through, there's a D, but there's also the opportunity. A stumble though, a little bit too early from Yuaki. And another break chance missed. An injury call though. See, Sophie Lyonnais, one of 2 on this Canadian women's roster, just trotting over to the gazebo to get some shade. Oh, I love that blade over the top from Luke. Has the space to potentially rip it towards the deeps, but this is a nice jailbreak offense from the Canadian women, giving and going. Lovely flow. Mono with the centering. Field compressing, of course, making it a little easier for these Japanese defenders. Another throw. Curvature is nice, but a bit too much zest on it. Of course, the stronger yellow lines are the original back of the end zone, but because of player safety, they have been moved a little bit forward. So just to give you that information, that hard yellow over the white line is not the back of the end zone in semi-finals. It's that slight one before. You can see where the cones show those back corners. But that was much more composed offense from Canada. Looking for the setup in power position, don't have the separation downfield. And again, the Canadians perhaps getting a bit of an edge on their height advantage. Louis. Again, finding this lovely give-go flow. This time, Edgel alongside Wang. And again, the Canadians choosing the flick over the top, and once more, not working out.
I mean, fool me once, shame on you. And to go for the same throw twice, not recognise the wind, a little bit more of an adaptation would be beneficial. We do see an injury call. That's Monica Wang who's going to have to go off after that attempted reception. Monica Wang had 3 assists, 2 goals, involved in fully over a third of the points that Canada scored the last time these two teams met. Appeared Brudney came on to replace her.
Indeed.
Saba Brudney, no slouch, also picked up 3 assists in the last time these two encountered each other.
Well, more spills than thrills at the moment in this side of the women's bracket. Very intense coverage from Brudney, fresh legs, and I think we're going to get a foul call on that one, Lorcan.
Coming over the shoulder and through the Japanese offensive player. Bit too much contact. So things starting off a little bit shaky for both sides. Overthrows from the Canadians and Well, it looked like a couple of underthrows really from the Japanese that the Canadian defenders were able to get quick blocks on.
Yeah, there wasn't really a clean line to the disc for me there, look, and that's a real shame because the loss of Aki would be quite big for Japan women. She really plays a great job of that kind of second initiator around the disc. And of course, both teams will be impacted by an extended injury, both physically and mentally, because of course the longer you are standing still, not being active, but also these things do happen. It is sport and collisions do occur.
Yui Aki playing with Uno back in Japan, playing for 5 years, and like you were saying, is really good at linking up with the defensive handlers and able to get those quick side shots and lightning fast breaks from that position. As the Canadian fans looking on, big contingent here in the morning. Logroño celebrating.
And we've actually got quite a few parents as well and supporters from the Japanese. And you can see there is a little bit of collision on the way down as well. Of course, Canada looking to try and turn up the heat with person coverage, but that one a little bit too much. So,
okay,
I would expect the resolution here to be an accepted foul.
Accepted.
It seems Aki going off. Nanase Kato, an offensive cutter traditionally for this Japanese side, coming on for an interesting transition.
So things looking a little scrambly to start this possession. Oh, throw very well held onto. Going to ask for a new disc. I have to say, Mishijima there, this is not the first time we've seen Japan's women asking for discs after laying out. They really do hang on to these.
I think that was... You see there Tiffany Zhang coming across on the help defense. The Canadians are really playing head on a swivel look to help. As with that 1-6, there's only so many places the Japanese can attack at any one time. The Canadians clearly have done their homework, learned their lessons from the last matchup, looking to step into those lanes.
Lovely adjustment from Ikeda. Again, you see the Canadians trying to sag into the lane and tempt the poach block. Inside fine, great aggression on the catch. Thinks about the point and shoot, does Yoshida. Ikeda looking so firm before throwing that reset. The Japanese women really do trust each other, and that's in bounds by my view, but the players are not going to agree. Maybe that back foot indeed on that yellow line. Ikeda on the goal line. Now Yoshida. Ikeda, oh, that's a nice little bit of isolation. Mai Ishikawa at the front of the stack collects the goal, but that was quite an opening point, Lorcan. 7 total turnovers.
Took us about 10 minutes. It went backwards and forwards, this way and that. Both teams had plenty of chances. Canada found themselves outside the end zone twice, and both times opting for these arcing outside in flicks, overshooting their receivers. Japan, on the other hand, you could see they were starting to have a... if we look here at the Japanese zone and how they're putting pressure on, if we stop it here, you can see almost a little bit of a line trap with the positioning from these three as well as these three in a further back wall. The front three, 1 through 3, will give almost more space, as you can see them spread it around, looking for those gaps. They don't mind letting these swings off and giving you enough rope to hang yourself with. Now, when we're outside the end zone, if we stop it again, you'll notice it has contracted more into a cup position around the handler. They will want to trap on the sidelines as well. So what this does is it puts more pressure on the handlers and leads to you thinking the big swings, the opportunity for the far corner is what's available. The wind does the rest.
And we are in the morning slot here of play. Local time, just about 10 past 10. And it's definitely a field site where the wind becomes more voracious as you come through the day. It's quite cool here this morning. Of course, we will still have the heat breaks when the teams get to 4. Like a mini half-time, almost dividing the game into quarters. But the Canadians will need to learn from those mistakes with the throws on the underside of the disc in the wind. This is much better composure though. And it's back. But Brody now pick upfield. This time, Japan playing match defense. I like that, changing up the rhythm. Marshall. Lovely movement in the handle space from Brielle Wong. Slicing and dicing. Marshall, great communication and great grab as well. Brodney now. Lofty and Silky. Ernest push pass. Love that. The confidence in this Canadian women's side very strong. Layout required, but Zhang makes it look easy. Pick again. Canadians being a little bit messy with their footwork, perhaps clattering around each other. Of course, unlike in other sports, good example of basketball, you cannot set up picks in this game. You cannot use other players on the field to screen you away from your defenders. And if you're watching this for the first time, welcome. Lovely to have you with us. Of course, World Championships do tend to have a great audience of friends, colleagues, relations.
The vaguely curious. The deeply invested. We're running all styles on the pitch, and we welcome all eyes off it.
Oh, that is just such beautiful prowess on the forehand from Zhang. Of course, big part of the O-line for Canada women back in the Gold Coast.
And both sides really do boast a couple of those World Games already at the international level players, and they will have to play defining roles for their respective teams in this matchup.
Well, we know Canada Ultimate had a little bit... Oh my goodness, what a catch that was. Brielle Wong, nothing wrong with that. Quick movement as well. Trying to keep the tempo going for this offensive hold, but what end zone defense this is from the Japanese. Zhang seeking opportunity, puts one out into the space, and yum, yum, yum. That one will go for the goal for Erica Edgell.
Fantastic offensive patience by the Canadians. Of course, there was a couple of incredible grabs. Zhang with the big layout, and Wong having to get a sky from behind the back of her own head, which shows the Japanese pressure, but at the same time they weren't forced. 21 passes, just rhythmically working through their motions, working through their options, looking for cutters to become available on 80-90% shots. There's Zhang absolutely taking flight to hold on to possession. We have another look here. Fantastic grab from Brielle Wong, but outside the end zone, pointing, waiting for the single isolated cutters to go from one sideline and then back to the stack. If I don't like the first cut, that's fine, we'll reset, we'll see what the next one looks like. Really, really great patience and presence from the Canadians, much improved on their first point. 1-1.
Considering how wide open Edgell was, and you kind of think maybe it's a thrown open shot. I wonder if maybe in that stack there was a bit of help coverage, maybe some blown coverage, or perhaps even some force middle, because the force was definitely forehand from the mark.
Something about the Japanese teams generally, once they have their matchups, they stick with them, and that's something the Canadians are very aware of. They've asked their offenders to just feel out the person marking you, work out where they're trying to guide you, and find out what they want you to do, and then over the course of the game learn how to do the opposite. Fantastic active learning.
Well, we're seeing this beautiful set play out of the pole again in the end zone. Matsuoka, oh sorry, no, that's an 89, Hashizume, who had the honour of being named player of the match against the USA. Oh, but that is a spill. It looked so good until that one, just too much gas in the canister.
I love this by the Canadian offense, starting the cut before the handler gets to the front of the end zone.
Foul call. Brooklyn cheer signals that one very quickly. Of course, a big part of Stella this year was the mixed alternate for the U24s last time around.
Just to let you know, we didn't have perspective on the play, so they have to figure it out.
and Cheer, a big part as well of the U20s program back in Birmingham last year.
Incredibly impressive athlete. Big part of their campaign this week. We've seen her make some fantastic layout grabs. I was fortunate enough to commentate one of their earlier games. Let's see if we can eavesdrop in a little bit here on this.
So coaching set looking on. I mean,
Foul, contested.
Obviously, it's what it feels
And
like,
the
not what it looks
stall will
like
be
to
at-
us, but certainly not a strip call, definitely a foul.
2, coming in on 2.
So we're sending it back. Faking and baking. They find the target. Oh, that's a really, really tight inside channel. Cheer with that throwing arm bandaged up. Takes another target up line. Got a disc space violation. So just a little conversation, I imagine, about dropping the stall to 0.
And you'll notice as the Japanese players are playing defense, anytime someone cuts into the open lane, the defender just tries to hover for a little bit longer to see if they can clog up that space. And the Canadians really need to take on some of these break throws and get a swing across the opposite sideline. Oh, look at that, prescient.
Ah, it's almost like Brooklyn Cheer's got an earpiece and is listening to your wise sage wisdom, Lorcan. Right? I like how active these Japanese marks are. They are starting to really make it so difficult to hit either side of the break channels. Of course, if you can vary those up, you'll give yourself a bit of action. Oh, the swipe through, the takeaway. Great defense. Hinago streaking through. Recovery for Japan women. So Gabe going to knee. Of course, winning this game guarantees you the medals. Just about which colour. Kawayanagi. And then a full flush almost to the opposite sideline. Things just slowing down a little bit. I like the active mark from Cheer. But Kawayanagi, high stall, and it is going to be a stall out called by the mark.
It did seem like she was forced to hold on to that for a long time. Said no to a risky inside leading pass, which we'd expect the Japanese to take if they're in full flight. Also said no to a bit of a leading pass around again because those have been D'd up a couple of times. As you can see here, says no to that shot. Normally Japan would take those, but the Canadians have been so effective and so tight on defense that they don't want to take it on. Says no to that one as well. So that's another inside break forced to go for the around. I think that's seemed pretty stall-outy to me.
Okay, so I don't have good enough perspective in order to call the stall count for that one. So this is a resolution between the two of you. Okay. Stall out, contested. You happy with the stall?
So a contested stall out coming in maximum 8. I did count that one in my head and it just got through, but of course when you've got the adrenaline coursing through your veins, it's going to feel a little bit different. Well, that is nice offense after the stoppage. Kanasugabe with the goal, and that will put another on the board for Japan. This time an offensive hole, but they have taken control, scoring that first point from defense, Lorcan. If this one trades out, it's going to be Japan's.
And you can see just how important team unity is. We spoke about this a lot when Japan were playing the USA in the final power pool game, how they lift each other up, how they work together, and it's all very communicative from the sideline. In that instance, we didn't see a lot of switching, but we didn't see help defense in so much as whenever a cutter made a move into the open side, the Japanese defenders were looking, can I steal a couple of seconds here? As we have. So this is just some quick play, but sometimes just going a bit too fast for themselves and overthrowing some of those shots. Now if we stop here, And you can see right there, the help defense is always looking into this space, and it's been a number of different defenders waiting to spring that trap. But what they do really well is they don't stay there too long. So if Canada, I'm sure their coaches have already picked up on this and said, look, when you look downfield, if you look to your jump, just give a quick check. There's going to be a break to an open player or a swing to an open player. If you're in the open side, stop clearing from the open side back just into the backfield. Clear around for a swing, because your defender is going to hang out, and that will be available to you.
Coach Murray always with the insights from the booth. Available for all coaching opportunities when he's not on the microphone. Although the fee is astronomical.
Used to get paid in Lucozade.
Sport, hopefully. Lucozade Sport.
No, normal Lucozade, but then the sugar tax came in and they ruined it. That's a story for another day.
Oh, well, other fizzy drinks are available, of course. Well, at the moment, it is the Canadians who are going to have to find some refreshment here. That one a little bit overcooked. Great track down from behind, though. Teammates supporting teammates, this time in the form of Lian Shannon. And of course, this Canadian women's program comes from a variety of geographic locations. Marshall with the little pop through. And Wang back on the field after the injury substitution, so that's good to see. That one, though, too far. The arm reaches for Sophie Lyonnaise, but Canada women haven't quite settled their nerves in the same way the Japanese have after that long, grindy first point.
And you can see Canada trying to do a little bit of the poaching of their own, but blown up very effectively by Japan.
I mean, the disc skills on this Japanese women's side is very effective. All that one, though, a little adjustment from the target upfield, and Erica Edgell edges in and takes the opportunity for a block.
The Japanese still running that same poach defense all the way to the end zone. That led to a turn. I'd love to see Canada react to it, and just, they seem a little bit in love with the up the line right now.
We certainly know from watching Japan against the USA women's team that they are all extremely athletic. They had a couple of run-through blocks on the USA. Again, looking for the up line, but there is the swing around. Nice centering pass to the gainer. Japan women loving that break side. Intense person coverage, but hanging on.
Bit too much contact on that one, I'd have to say.
But no foul call, happy to just play through it. Of course, a slight difference in the contact rules for the North American rule set. Oh, that is a peach of a throw, and snaffling up in the end zone, Emma Ernest.
Fantastic leading pass. Ernest able to just chase it down. It's about attacking that space. We heard several coaches talk about this. You want to throw to space and let your cutters run onto it. Really good outside in. As if you compare that to some of the flicks they tried on the first point, which were a bit too blady and required to be a bit too precise, that one just fast. And again, the poach is the one who gets the initial block. Japan going to the well one too many times. Fantastic awareness from Edgell to shut that off. This time it's floating. It's a lot flatter, but it curves just enough into the path of the on-running Emma Ernest. So those are the kind of shots they've got to be looking for. They do have the speed, and the opportunities are there to set them up. But in order to do that first, they've got to pull people out of that open side space, pull them under and away. As you can see, the difference between how there was no other Japanese defenders compared to other times Canada have looked to that space.
Yeah, the amount of pick calls we've had already in this game from the Japanese defenders really speaks to some of the structure melting under the morning sun for this Canadian women's outfit. Ernest with the goal there from Montreal, although originally hailing from Mont-Tremblant. It's lovely to see some of the Quebecois action, the Manitoba teams, the Ottawa teams. Lots of representation. And as we've already mentioned, a big UBC contingent. Oh, that is a throw and a half. Shimizu and a little collection with the pack. There's going to be a chat about who caught that first. Of course, simultaneous grab goes to the offense, in which case it would be Hashizume's.
Eloire coming across fantastically to help defense on the deep shot. Really impressive for the Canadians. As we have another look. Almost the exact same setup as last time. They love sending it deep to Hashizume. Eloire loves getting blocks and people from all over the world.
And if you are saying that it's the same time, she thinks that it's still her destiny.
I do think that I caught it first.
Hey, point your
so
players!
I will. I don't agree. Sorry, I really thought I had a better position. Like,
I gotta tell you, I think Hashizume got that pretty clearly before Eloire.
She was like in front of you.
Can we ask other questions?
Well, unlike Cincinnati in 2018, where we had the jumbotrons on the side of the pitches, which I know
that was fun. People stopped talking to each other about calls, but it was fun.
The cinema, honestly, the cinema of watching both teams have a look at the replay on the jumbotron was poetic, really. I mean, I loved it. However, obviously the teams on the field cannot see our view.
I will say, as we have another look, to me that's from that angle, actually I very much see what Eloire is talking about. So I think going back, probably the best thing. Just to finish my initial thought, though, all this conversation, game advisors, game observers, what's the answer? How do we move past this? The answer is clearly just jumbotron on every field.
With multiple angles. That's the thing. To be fair, like, if you know those suits where you've got all the little balls attached to the black kind of morph suit, and you're kind of fully tracked in 3D. Like the guy that plays World of Warcraft with one of those, he has to crouch in order to be, I think, is his rogue character. Anyway, going deep into the nerd bucket there, aren't we? But yeah, that's the end game, right? You have full 3D player tracking, live motion, everyone covered in tiny little micro devices. That's the only fair way. But sport isn't fair, folks. So Garbe gets a little bit of a kiss on the mark from Morno. I love the jumping jack active marks from Canada, especially on the feet. Trying to keep it confusing, and that is a great recovery. The Japanese women really backing each other up. Kato with a redemption that time. Shimizu with the disc on the stoppage. I'm not sure what happened here, Lorcan. Any thoughts?
I thought I saw an indication of a stall out call, but I don't know why Shimizu would be saying it on herself. I think she might have just been tapping her head.
Perhaps the previous throw. I mean, it was Kawayanagi again, who's... I love the body language coming off the 23 for Japan. She just looks so cool and collected with the disc. Like she's not in a World Championship semi-final or anything. The confidence, though, for Japan, a clean up line. Sagabe with another on the stats board. That's 2 golds for her so far in this women's semi-final.
And really great timing from Sagabe in the end zone to make sure she's arriving just at the right moment. You saw a couple of ever so slightly mistimed cuts from the Japanese as they approached the end zone. As they have fixed it. And a nation with some of the best celebrations. As we have another look at this grab. Is that Eloire getting there first? In slow motion, you see, I think Eloire, it's tough because of the clap. But I think Eloire might have a claim to say, I had control before you did.
I mean, this is the thing, right? So the vast majority, overwhelmingly, of Ultimate games that any athletes here are going to have played and will play in the future do not have slow motion replays. I think... Like, the great thing is, for both players, it's on record, we've got it on tape, of both of them are very awesome. They both read it really well. Obviously, fantastic help D from ONS. At the end of the day, yes, you might watch it through gritted teeth later on. Watching it back, of course, because that's how you learn. You can't get better if you don't watch your tight games back. learn from the things you could have done differently, but I think it's probably just fair to say, Lorcan, it was awesome. And that's what we expect from this level at the U24 division. Great attempt at the layout, but unfazed. Edge up. Now Brudney. It is much, well, I say until we get that little holstering, much better flow and pace from the Canadian women. Starting to find their groove here as Woke with a stoppage on the pick.
I do worry, given how frequently they're attacking the open side, they're not giving as much isolation as they could be to players making moves in that space.
Right, attacking the inside channel.
I'd love if they could move that stack over a little bit more or go for more swings.
Yeah, it does look very spread upfield, despite it being person coverage. They find moments where they are restructured, but perhaps a little bit too much frantic energy, although the handlers are looking pretty cool and collected. Zhang, now that is a shot. Leonet looking for the cheeky one on the front cone, that little throw and turn to receive over the shoulder. But again, Japan women putting on really just the cotton ball effect on this end zone, red zone defense. Nice movement from Leonet, immediately looking to follow the pass. Brudney now on the goal line and finds the open target. This time it's the form of Lilian Shannon. A number switch, the 12 to the 21.
Really great work by the Canadians to continually attack the Japanese where they don't want to be attacked. Initially I was thinking they're keeping that stack a little bit too close to the middle and not giving each other that much space. But as you see when they get closer towards the end zone, the Japanese are doing that forced middle that you were talking about earlier on, and their ability, and they're just trying to funnel it all towards the stack so that they can help out a bit more effectively. Now what the Canadians did really well on that instance was they did not settle. They continued to just keep resetting, and then when the opportunity came, taking on an extra break to swing it around. As you see here, Brudney just getting onto the end of that break and then firing to the end zone. So it looks quite easy in that point. It was really the throw to Brudney that unlocked the defense and set up the smooth finish across to Lilian Shannon. Of course, Shannon, one of the veterans, one of the leaders for this Canadian side, was on the under-20 team last year, and they frequently turn to her for support. Speaking of support, everybody hanging out in the shade. Nobody really wants to invite the assault of that morning Spanish sun.
Well, it has been a much cooler championship since we've gotten into the business end and these championship brackets, because of course we're sitting in, I think, 38, 39 degree heat, but oh my goodness, cool, calm, composed offense. This time there's no help defense to cover the pull set from the Japanese women. Hashizume, like a katana, just swiping through to the end zone.
That was a fantastic throw, a lot more lead on it, but just out into the space, similar to what we saw the Canadians do a couple of points ago. You're aiming it into space with enough float for your cutter to run to it. Hashizumi, one of the hardest women to cover in this entire division, as the Americans learned yesterday.
Well, this is the interesting contrast I wanted to make, Lorcan, so you've set me up perfectly. Thank you very much. This is all about, for me, these set plays for the Japanese women, and you saw them do the same thing against the USA yesterday morning.
And if you see there the way that they're able to almost disguise the deep cut from the opposite side and swing it over.
But it was just a case of, against the USA, those shots looked a little bit too spicy to handle, but Japan are cooking here. One break over the Canadians in the first half of our women's semi-final.
The 2025 club season is upon us, and Ultiworld is bringing you all the action. Ultiworld is the best place for live video, news, highlights, and analysis of your favorite teams and players. Make sure to subscribe for our extensive live coverage of the USAU club season, including the thrilling club championships in San Diego in October, exclusively on Ultiworld.
The Japanese, one nose in front over Canada here in the women's division semi-finals. And we have quite a game on our hands. The Japan sideline riding the vibes here this morning. The heat break still in force in Spain at this under-24 championship level.
And then we see the return to the line trap, and then it just expands a little.
An overshot, but again, the backup from downfield. Shannon looking for the go flow with Monica Wang. Things slowing down. That little wrinkle around the back for right. Again, attacking the shoulders of this zone is the right move. Lily Shannon trying to avoid being pinned on the near sideline.
Shannon is doing a fantastic job of finding the space just behind the front of that zone. First time a little bit by accident and reacting. The second time excellently attacking there.
Zhang still working the back. Oh, and there's the turnover. Japan coming out of the break for the heat, looking to get things back into the kitchen and onto the hob. Ishikawa getting things going. Nice, quick, swift move, Ikeda. Have the target in the end zone and the separation. Oh, the layout is there but cannot interrupt the pass. Ikegami with the goal. Well, Japan once again coming off that break for the heat, just as they did in the beginning of this matchup. Taking the game, taking charge, 5-3. Canada still have plenty that they are showing, though, that looks like it's going to be able to push forward. I see it emerging, Lorcan. So Canada now putting out a new rotation of their line. I wonder if, as a coach at this situation, we might start seeing a couple of power lines from Canada after that throw into slight danger. That's okay. So Canada's offense being squeezed onto these sidelines. Brudney working that central position, leading into the space. Of course, Brudney named to a few Canadian outfits during the course of their career so far. So many promising stars hailing from that North American region. A bit scrambly, but I like the attack of the cup and then the quick movement away from the handlers. Cheer now. Oh, that one just about held on to. But the towing of the line requires that little bit of extra focus, and this time it doesn't quite work for Bria Wong.
Really getting sucked into that front space in front of the handlers.
Foul call. I did see a little bit of a bosh from Emily Cho there.
Could you translate bosh for some of the international fans joining us?
I mean, I feel like it's a bit onomatopoeic, is bosh. You know, it's that kind of... It's the sense you get when you see one person's body collide with the other. A bosh. Not to be confused with any brand of Hoover.
Both teams have on a number, not a large number, that makes it seem like it's happened a good few times. Upon occasion so far in this game, just gone through defenders because they can see the disc, they recognise the opportunity is there, but not really willing, and no one in this competitive environment ever will be willing to admit they're about a couple of milliseconds behind, so it leads to that just contact. I understand the call coming from Nassau. The Jet Girl.
Yeah, there's a couple of action heroes on this Japan women's side. We've also got Magician Girl, Ninja Girl.
So that's Shimizu, number 33. Ninja Girl is Yoshida, number 99.
And to finish the set...
So, yeah, accepted.
Kishida,
Foul.
number 8.
So after the discussion, an accepted foul call. No.
That leads to the turnover. I think that was...
Offensive
Yeah,
foul.
I guess.
Oh, okay.
Either way, turnover.
Yeah, contact. For sure. So Canada looking to hang on to this. Conceding 3 on the bounce would really dampen their chances of making the guaranteed medal match. Of course, we'll have our fight for the dirty gold, that bronze feeling. Often some of the most hype games at these youth championships.
That was a series of hand signals that seem to be contradicting each other. I think that's a contested foul on some contact in the dump space. Yeah. As you see there, the contact on the swing.
Up line, beautiful channel. Amelie Marshall ripping that one in for the hold for the Canadians.
That's a fantastic grab from Marshall. Again, the Canadians doing a good job of staying more active with the cutters in the stack so that Japan don't have the chance to poach off into that space. It is largely the same cut to the same space where Japan have already gotten 2 blocks in this match. But the difference being what the other 5 cutters on the pitch are all doing to keep the Japanese defense occupied. And something that we learned when we were talking to the coaches just before the game, they recognize that this is going to be a game of runs. That's what happens when you play Japan. So you've got to be prepared. We saw that the last time these two teams matched up, as we have another look at the leading pass. And you could see just the eyes, but not the bodies, of Yamakawa. I think Nasu as well was in the end zone, just staring, going like, if only I'd been there. But they couldn't be there. They couldn't abandon the activity of their respective marks long enough to go and become involved in that play. So good adjustment by the Canadians. I would not be surprised to see them come out here and get a break. Something we've seen all the Canadian teams do very effectively in this tournament, and I wouldn't be surprised again to see that come out a bit closer to half, is run power lines at important moments, just going into heat breaks. The mixed team have done it, the open team have done it, and have enjoyed great success.
Well, of course, the last time we saw these two nations match up in exactly this same game, the semi-finals back in Nottingham, it was a real display, a parade for Japan's women. They just ran away with the second half. At the moment, they are 2 breaks to the better of the team in white. Oeganagi through. Hinago with the throw to space, and under it, of course, who else but Hashizume. Another Japanese goal, 6-4.
I think that's fantastic. Almost a trust throw, trusting yourself to be able to get that inside scoop. But I think if it was a different Japanese receiver in there, maybe you holster that one, you look for the swing, you get it across to Kanasogabe, who was quite free because the Canadians trying to poach and help out in their own way. But that was absolutely about the incisive throw to find Hashizume in the end zone. Let's just have another quick look at it. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Hinago just putting that out of the way of the defender. And you can see Elwar poached, and just as Elwar pulls back in, that's when the throw gets released. Zhang can't do anything but watch it be received for the score. So really great presence of mind. I think it's important to note how Japan adjusted their pull play as well on that. They'd set up 2 deep looks twice in a row. I think it would have been Elwar again who was the one who peeled off to help. So as a result, Japan were not going to force that. My help defender's just gone massive gain on the under instead. So showing they are prepared to adjust themselves and react to how the Canadians start to change their defenses. This is going to be a real punch, counter-punch kind of affair between these two teams. We saw a very similar thing the last time they met up at this tournament, which included in the first half a 3-point run by the Canadians, immediately responded with a 3-point run by the Japanese, and a similar thing with trading braces in the second half.
So another point of match defense from Japan, with those athletes poaching in the lanes. Agile centre field just has eyes for the handler reset. Fantastic coverage though, oh my goodness, hands covered in sticky glue. Great catch from Wright, but a throw way out of bounds.
And I don't love that look. There was the separation, but again, it's same third, and at that much of a distance, it's going to be a very difficult throw. You're going to have to hang it out to the sideline and hope it comes back in. Not enough edge on the disc, not enough, to borrow a Hannah Pendlebury phrase, curvature on the throw.
We all have our favoured words, don't we?
Yes. In fairness, I do quite like the word bosh.
I do believe this is why we occasionally do have international voices on the Ultiworld streams. I do believe the people in the Discord find it charming. And of course, if you have purchased an Ultiworld subscription to watch this coverage, you can get yourself onto the Discord and see what the rest of the world thinks about this match. And foul call for Ko Ikegami. That looked quite uncomfortable initially. I mean, Ikegami does have possession.
What is 0? Yeah.
Okay.
Ikegami playing with Rad
Yep,
Rise
so it's
back
foul,
home in Japan.
accepted.
When asked why she enjoyed playing the sport, replied succinctly, "I like running."
I think that definitely shows in Ko Ikegami's play style. I suppose there you call the foul, A, to give yourself the chance to recover, put your accessories back on. but also because the player can start stalling as soon as you've made the catch. So if you're on the floor, you don't have to wait for your opposition to get up. You can start on defense. Lovely up-line battle. This time won by Yoshida. All 26 roster spots of the 28 available on this Japanese women's side. Canada with a slightly shorter roster. Of course, it's a long way for both these teams to make it here. Oh, that's a beautiful bit of separation. Ikegami, lots of dishes for the fake. Just about get the reset. Horiguchi. Oh, sorry, that's a 7. Ishikawa, of course. Ikeda now seeking opportunity. Now it's Horiguchi. This is lovely, quiet offense, and just the simplest of simplicity for the goal. Ishikawa trots up line. 2 Canadians are there, but neither of them attacking the space. At the moment, Japan just looking very calm, poised, in control.
I was getting a little bit worried. I was like, they're right outside the end zone. They've done a lot of dumping. Like, it feels like Canada's ratcheting up the pressure. But no, they're just so composed. And as you were saying, everything should be as simple as possible, but no simpler, right? And that's the kind of offense they're playing. As we have a look here, there was the separation, but from that horizontal 3-4, it leads to a same third throw. I don't ever really like those hooks. Now, if we stop right here, you can see something that is very unique to the Japanese offense. A 1-6, we're on the sideline, we're on the front of their own end zone. It's one handler, also sometimes known as a J-stack. If I had better hand coordination, then it would be clear. So what that means is this inside channel is open, but it also leaves big swings around here. So the Canadians at the front of the stack have to make a decision. Do I try to poach off, or do I try to take away the inside? Something that they do so well, and it just allows them to get off the sideline very effectively. From there, it's more of a standard 2-5 as they float down the pitch, but very few other teams in the world run that kind of 1-6, and obviously being from Japan, we know it as the J-stack, and it is something we see from the Japanese international sides as well as a lot of the club sides, Swampy Barge, Uno, Buzz Bullets in the Open Division, Nomadic Tribe. Lots of these teams will come to the international scene and throw out these completely unique moves, as we will take a move into a timeout. Japan 7, Canada 4.
Canada women on the chase in the semi-finals of the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships 2025. Marshall. Oh, throws straight into the hands. Shimada with the block, but a team effort for sure. The re-emergence of the zone after a couple of points of match defense. Love the way the Japanese are rotating through their defensive looks. Toyoshima now streaking up line, thinks about it, but Okada holsters the big backhand break. Then, oh, that is a throw into danger, but well handled. Lawrencito Fung there just taking charge and saying, I'm going to close this window. Slams it shut.
Showing her experience from the mixed division last year at the under-20 level.
Canadians look to rip it and grip it. Got a lot of air underneath, but well tracked down by Emma Ernest. It's one of these returners. Oh, and that is just lovely cohesion. Aberbrudney with the throw into Laurencito Fung, who, of course, didn't get a true block, but I would credit with that defence, Lorcan.
Certainly was able to shepherd the disc out of bounds, as we can see the Canadians wasting absolutely no time looking for the deep shot immediately. Would be nice to see him go for that a bit more. You can see the difference on that one being it did arc around 2/3 of the length of the pitch, made it easy to chase. I think the Japanese defenders, even with the help defense coming, got a little bit lost under the disc because it was always trailing away from them and then in to the awaiting hands of the Canadian receiver, Emma Ernest, who from Montreal. Potential illegal double team on that move. I do think, if I want to be a scorer for Japan, I want to talk about it a little bit more. I think Marshall just had a lapse of concentration and forgot that she was playing against the 3-person wall zone. You can see here, just taking out the library card and reading that one very well for Erne. And across. But it did see it. The blushes were spared, the disc was re-earned, but it did seem like Marshall just forgot the kind of zone they were playing against as a consequence of playing against match for the last few points.
Well, this one to take half. Instead of going for the set play on the deep shot immediately, the Japanese women with some really nice sort of flow of 3 across after fielding the pull. Shimizu on a high stall. But of course, having owned the deep space so much, almost a free underneath, but taken away, because of course you don't have to worry about being in bounds when you're on defense. Great charge through from Marshall. Well, this is really a must-break moment for the Canadian women. Shannon has the upline to Zito Fung. Just a little gainer. Canada looking very confident right now. Oh, that was very, very good poise on the toes, but I think they might have been on the line, Lorcan.
I think Alwa, great attempt at the toe pivot, but I think they started from the yellow line. I was just about to talk about how important Aberbrudney is, playing so many of these crucial points for this Canadian side, offensive and defense. We talked about loading some of those power lines.
It looks like by the time you had your control of the disc, your foot was on the line.
It does look like the toe was on the yellow line.
Well, extra perspective from the game advisor. Of course, in the USAU rule set, observers can make in-out of bounds calls. So our GAs too, trying to keep their eyes on all the events happening. And able to give the perspective there. Oh, the swipe off poach though. Great awareness. Real Wong. And looking to go back and forth. I love this pace and quick movement around the disc for Canada. They are being squeezed again repeatedly on this near sideline. Another foul. A little bit too much of a shoulder bosh for Helua.
Don't want to give some credit to these marks from the Japanese. Canadians, certainly some of the squad, don't look very confident taking on breaks to get out of those sideline traps, just continually reverting to these short gains down the line. We're going to make like one of the 90s best hip-hop stars now and have a little snoop.
I'm trying to work out what the call is here. So it's a foul and it's a contest? Yeah.
And she said I was out. I feel like she pushed me away.
So you think it's a force-out foul? Is that okay? So it's probably too close. Based on this, it's too close for me to call. So I suggest you just play.
Yeah,
okay. Okay. Thank you.
So the lesser spotted force-out foul, but some dogged defence being played here for sure. Great around break. Canadian women really showing their disc skills. Zito Fung with the hang on. Things again looking a bit disorganised in the downfield space for Canada, and unsurprisingly another pit call. We're getting to kind of that emotional energy, Lorcan.
And I was enjoying how spread out they were starting to make their offense, the way they were able to get that swing around, and good work by the Japanese. You could see the handler mark come all the way across to the break cutting space just to make sure that the continuation doesn't happen, and then no real rush coming down to put the mark on, not attacking straight to where the disc is, reminding us the least dangerous person on the pitch is the person with the disc in their hands.
Upline flow. Japan continuing to pressure and squeeze the Canadians into the small spaces. That ate up quite a lot of the stall count, but Marshall able to come through for the reset. Break side continuation all the way into the end zone. Oh, just squeezing. Lorencito Fung commits to the cut and earns the goal. A break back for the Canadians in the first half.
And you got to admit, we saw this coming to an extent. I always expect there to be a counter run by the Canadians. They've been really turning up the heat on the Japanese O-line and then starting to add a bit more expansion into their own offense. The swings are coming out a lot more effectively all the way across. You could even see the point and say, continue to cut. The timing just as the mark initially stepped out to stop the first swing to the break side. As soon as she stepped in, that's when the throw went around. As we have another look. See why Japan generally prefer to set up with just the one hand or even the two. When there's this many people back there, it leaves opportunities for like that. They love playing in that little middle space and great heads-up awareness. This time on the part of Brielle Wong, who got that block. But then, yes, okay, so for these first few points, they're going to wind up going down the line continuously. But it's once they started to break out of that, get these swings across. Brudney. You watch, there's the fake to pull the mark in. Points, keep going. I need another cut to that space. I can get this break off. Sits it out. Zito Fung able to get the collection. Canada get their first break of the game. Remember, they're 3 breaks down at this point. They did start on offense, so 7-6. Japan with a chance to go in at half with a commanding lead in this semi-final. But as rollicking, as swashbuckling as these games are, I doubt any lead is ever going to feel confident until you hit 15.
So another horizontal set to start us off here. Japan looking to try and take the half and earn themselves a little break to stop the momentum of this Canadian side. Great grind up line. Shimizu with a very great handler mark, although we're going to get a marking infraction perhaps. But hats off to Emily Cho.
Yes, you can.
You can test the fast count. I thought that I was counting pretty consistently. I'm going to contest.
You want my perspective? In my perspective, I thought the count was consistent. Okay.
So coming in, what does it come in at?
The last, it was.
I was saying that.
She said Pascal at 8.
At 8? So, okay, so stay in 9. So
8, stalling.
9.
Yep.
Well, high pressure situation. Disc in the hands, though, of one of the most experienced players on this roster for Japan. Let's see what Shimizu will give us.
Does she have a little bit of magic?
Well, throw straight out of bounds. I mean, I thought at the moment it might be a hammer to this far side of the line. They had a couple of opportunities, though, but that was great shutdown defense from the hand marking cups.
Brilliant pressure. The Canadians starting to get a little bit wise to what the Japanese want to do. Obviously, they've changed up their attacking formations and timing ever so slightly since the last meeting, and now Canada starting to unravel that mystery.
Collision on the upline cut. an error, but the re-catch is there. Well, maybe not collision then, just some feet getting caught in the rubber crumb. Well, this Canadian offense looking very dangerous. Yet another tasty around break from Brudney.
Just staying out there, saying, look, I'm not coming off until we have at least tied this game back up. My.
And Brudney's balling. Already 3 assists in this game to add to the tally. Of course, all of our wonderful volunteer scorekeepers delivering the data here in Spain. Go to results.wdf.sport. I have to say the Fitbit stats, or the whatever the tracking for the pedometer for the translator for Japan, it must be pretty high at this point. Of course, that's Yuri Kitamura helping.
I got a little bit confused with that leading pass, and I thought right through it and then called it. Obviously that didn't happen, that's a turnover, but...
Like your player... Okay, can we go to the advisor?
Just to clarify the rule, the call can affect the play and they can stop. They are allowed to do that.
I understand,
yeah.
But she's saying that it affected that throw.
Well, she's saying the call. Yeah, it's the call of the pick. Yes. So she wants, catch up with her defender. Yeah. Is that okay? Okay. Yeah.
Well, some rearranging of the furniture after the pick call. But this is a massive moment, and that's a big error that will be watched perhaps through gritted teeth later on. Big moments here with just over 30 minutes remaining in this time slot. Of course, the translation on some of these calls slightly extended for the language differences, but we are tight here in this women's semi-final. Lovely movement underneath, found Kawayanagi. Now Sugabe. Of course, a returner. Oh, the layout block intercepting and interrupting Erica Edgell again for Team Canada. Brudney with the layout snag. Lefty grab. Landing on top of each other, but only because they're both going for it so hard. Brudney now. Losing a lot of yards, but Tiffany Zhang, of course, with all the firepower. A spill on the near sideline. Ernest has been so consistent in this game, getting so many points. But even she is fallible, and a timeout being taken by Japan here, Lorcan. I don't hate that. This really is a huge point for the shape of this game.
Now, as we're entering the final third of this game, bearing in mind this is the semi-final of the World Championships, Japan score, they will receive the disc coming out at the start of the second half. This point here is incredibly definitive, and you can see some of the massive plays that come as a result of that, but also some of the pressure. That's the throwaway, earning it back just emphatically Erica Edgell. But then again, this pressure, I honestly thought they should just send it to Edgell straight away. After a play like that, I back Edgell to sky anybody, as we have another massive grab. This time by Brudney.
That might be the catch of the tournament, Lorcan.
I don't know, Petrovic had an incredible... It looked very similar to a layout we saw in the mixed quarter-final yesterday, Singapore against Czech.
But lefty grab, because Brudney's a righty. Am I right in thinking that?
That's actually, that's a very good point.
So like that fingertip lefty grab just in front of the defender. Obviously you get the kind of, unintended contact from both afterwards, but hella vibes. Just fully submarine underneath the defender, you know? Well, Japan, after the timeout, you can see the players on the field there taking form, but this is what it's all about.
A loud communicative sideline. They're there for their spirit. They're there to set it up. That's the emotion side. But on the pitch, it's cold, calm and collected, setting up in their patented 1-6 to try and generate a bit of positivity. Either somebody going for the up the line to get into a power position or a swing around to the break side. You can see the Canadians are starting to react and trying to clamp against it.
Well, that phyto energy, quick pivot movement to get us flowing and going. Almost two sections of offense being played by this Japanese side. Oh, a quick throw on the motion and movement. I'm not sure if that was over the tape. They're going to have a quick discussion about it in the hands of Kana Sugabe, of course, one of the returners on this U24 Japanese program who played in Nottingham but not in the Gold Coast. And we will get just a discussion. I mean, I think this pause here doesn't hurt Japan too much.
I think it does, because I believe if the Japanese player had just said not in, turned around, touched the disc down, it was an open pass for the score. As we have a look, very well set up. It was always going to be a tougher catch for Sugabe. So,
hi, so I'm really sorry about this one, but as you were running through, I wasn't able to see where the line was because body in the way. So my recommendation here is you just really quickly come to a resolution.
That'll be our recommendation as well. I think in every time in that situation, if you catch the disc running into the end zone and you're not sure if you're in or not, just run immediately back, because by the time you've got back and gotten into play again, someone will have either gone, no, you were in, or you can just turn and fire for the continuation. Japan have now lost their opportunity for an easy finish and a way to get into the half.
Yeah, we've got people saying in, people saying out. Okay, let's play on. Contest. Yep.
Okay, that looked fairly out
from
to
the
me.
yellow.
We'll have one last look at it. Yeah, I think that right foot was still down.
Well, a fair outcome. You still have one-on-one matchup in the end zone. We'll have a violation. Just everyone needs to obviously start at the correct time.
Yeah, that's not how they were set up when that disc was caught. Of course, by the time they would have got back to the line, I'm assuming the defense would have returned. But that pass, I think, was just a little bit more open.
Hashizume in the end zone. I mean, to be fair, if you're going to have anyone isolated one-on-one, that's not a terrible choice. We'll get another look at some end zone defense from Canada. Can they close windows effectively enough? Oh, they cannot. It's a layout goal to take half. Japan hang on to their lead. Kawayanagi, full stretch, and will send into the 7 minutes time out for halftime, I should say. 8-6. Can Canada come back, Lorcan? What do you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I, in fact, wouldn't be super surprised he kind of come out and just snap off two breaks. These two teams so evenly matched, and we've seen them go back and forth with runs. So, yes, right now, Japan may be in the lead 8-6, but there's still plenty to play for and only one place to see it at Ultiworld.com.
Well, Japan lead 8-6 as they take to the tunnels. Find out what will happen in the second stanza, the last moments here in women's semi-finals at the U24 World Championships.
The 2025 club season is upon us, and Ultiworld is bringing you all the action. Ultiworld is the best place for live video, news, highlights, and analysis of your favorite teams and players. Make sure to subscribe for our extensive live coverage of the USAU club season, including the thrilling Club Championships in San Diego in October, exclusively on Ultiworld.
Returning to your screens here at halftime in women's semi-finals, the U24 division for the World Championship titles on the line, and a returning coach, head coach Karen Hatch, with us on the sideline. Thank you so much. Talk us through your defensive game plan and how that changed at the end of the second half.
Well, we knew going into this game that Japan was going to come out with something different. They always adapt really quickly off the field and on the field. Something that we noticed is that when we got the cutter or got someone on the sideline and we put a really big active mark on them, they were flustered a bit more in those throws. So our plan was to make them move the disc as much as possible backfield, and we've had some success with that, and we're just going to keep continuing to push for those moments when we get them.
And then on the offensive side, it seems like you've been reacting well towards the end of that second half to the Japanese poaches. What are you planning to do in this when we come back to play to push out and try to catch back up to them?
We're going to try and create some more isolation moments, so some 2-on-2, some 1-on-1s. We know that they like to sit in the lanes and look at the disc, and we've talked a lot about making our cuts a little extra or making one more movement to draw them out, and we've started to see some of that come forward, so that's something that we're going to keep doing going forward.
Karen, it's been a quite long first half of this matchup. In terms of player and line management now, as the clock starts to drain down, what can we expect to see from your clipboard?
We're going to see some tight lines. We have some players who have been in a moment like this before, and they played against a very similar team like this, so we're going to kind of tighten up our line, make sure that we can get our best people on the field and get those turns as quick as we can.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Karen. We'll let you get back to your huddle. Good luck for the final moments of this game.
Thanks so much, guys.
All smiles and confidence is Karen Hatch, but the numbers from this game, Lorcan, on our screen.
And you can see that Japan just generating a few more turns. Obviously, they have the break advantage, but that is, I think, a result of the heads-up help defense they've been playing, able to get those poaches, and then almost those poaches haunting the minds of the Canadian handlers, and they're starting to throw out of bounds, overthrow. But again, a lot more of that seemed to happen earlier in the game. The last break was at 7-4, Canada getting 2 in a row in response to it. So we were talking to Karen Hatch just there. You can see that they're making those adjustments. They certainly have them down on the clipboard. Can they transition that from the clipboard to the pitch remains to be seen.
Well, the nature of this game so far has been all about the early lead for Japan. They played such interesting defensive sets and almost entrancing offense for me, Lorcan.
It's the way that it moves so quickly. It's the way they find those gaps for the inside shots. Even with Canada coming into this, knowing, they want the inside shots. That's what the help has to be. They're still able to smooth them. Canada were able to fight back and get a break towards the end. Once they started to be able to swing that disc and move out of the poaches in the open lane, we know they've got the athletic plays, we know they've got the heart, and we know they can beat them. They won on Universe last time. And I've got just this tingly feeling, my Lorcan sense is going off, that there might be another Universe point in this match awaiting us as we enter the final third with about 30 minutes left, and Japan 2 points up, 8-6.
Scintillating semi-finals for our women's division. Japan 8-6 over Canada at halftime on our side of the stadium. But of course our sister station streaming, of course, the very last moments potentially of the other semi-final, USA versus Great Britain. That one is quite an interesting score, Lorcan.
Well, 14-8 may not sound the most competitive, but when you consider this is the first time that the GB women have made it this far, and to put up that kind of a fight against the US team that has been, I mean, that's the most competitive anybody's played against the US so far in this tournament. Huge testament to those young British women and quite a competent coaching staff as well.
Well, certainly the first semi-final for Great British women at the U24 level in nearly a decade and a half.
That means they did it in 2010, which was obviously the first time we ever had under 24s. So, brilliant return to form for the Great British women's side.
And Great Britain as a U24 programme. Of course, the last time they were in semi-finals was in 2015 in the Open division. So still 10 years clear of that. But focusing our eyes back on this one, Japanada, the matchup we see so much in women's semi-finals. Sagabe on the underneath. Japan looking for that buy one, get one free action, but they're going to have to earn it. Great recovery layout. Japan with the attack. That is a beautiful throw into the space, and Hashizume underneath it. Well, that was such a close defender, but it left the back door to the garden open.
It's something that's so unique about the Japanese offense, and it's something that I would honestly criticize. I have criticized a few times. I'm constantly talking about the 2/3 application, but if you see as they get into the power position for the throw, they're going to shoot directly over the hand. So if you let that play, and then from here, so stop, and you can see the vision is here, and it is in the same third the whole time, going that way. And it's right over the top of the head, but the way they throw it, it lifts up and it sits just in front, floating down for Hishizumi to chase on. Such a difficult throw to do correctly, and it's something that we saw the Japanese women really struggle with against the US yesterday at the start, and this time coming off to perfection. So if they're really trialing those up, we know that it'll serve them well should they make it to the final, which right now, 3 points to the good, looks like they might.
Indeed, but there are such dogged defenders out here for Canada women. They really are so close on the shoulders, as their Karen Hatch told us about. It's about trying to push them towards their sidelines where they can really make the most of their marks and that defensive pressure. But I'm with you, look, and it's a difficult shot to execute, and that, I think, is what the Japanese women struggled with against the USA, is that the difficulty rating was a bit too high, a bit too early in the game, but they've warmed up and they've found their form quickly in the semi-final. Nice move through. That one's going to open up an opportunity indeed. A little bit too loose, and Ishikawa will take it away. Horiguchi now. The feel of this match starting to become a little bit more calm. Can Canada inject some defensive energy and get an interruption? Because a break here, well, that would be difficult to recover from.
I would still say not impossible, but yes, a 4-point lead would be substantial and require quite the stand from the Canadians.
I mean, that scrappy point to end the first half. 4 total turnovers. But Japan looking to have found their form. Oh, that's it, pretty magical, but just too far.
Difficult shot from Kana Yoshida, taking a leaf out some of the early turnovers from the Canadian side. Those flick blades, hard to get right. They have to be so precise.
So playing in their own end zone, full stretch required for the Canadian O-line. I like the tactical use of the zone here to try and slow things down and frustrate the Canadians perhaps into throwing more turns. It's a shot into the very deepest space on the pitch. And again, the backfield defenders for Japan coming through.
And you can see the second stage of that zone, the wall has adjusted ever so slightly to limit those swing passes and doing a fantastic job of gumming up the middle of the pitch.
Oh, well, I think it would be tempting to throw a scuba to the soft side of that J-stack. And again, another run-through block for Erica Edgell.
She's clearly done the homework, was expecting that inside cut from the front of the stack. Knew exactly where to go to get the block.
Nice find with the inside channel. Brudney, just the softest shape on that one. Then Edgell looking for the give-go. Oh, has the shot in the centre, and it's Brudney for the hold for the Canadians.
Very important score for the Canadians. Of course, it's Brudney. They are so lethal, and as we were talking to Karen Hatch at the halftime, talking about just tightening up those lines, getting their best players out there, that you know that means Abba Brudney is going to be saying, gimme, gimme, gimme every opportunity I have available to get back into this matchup. I think it is very much within the Canadians' grasp to power their way into this match.
Well, it's the song of this match now, Lorcan, is gimme, 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 a break before midnight. There's just over 10 minutes remaining of regulation time. Of course, 100-minute games here. Maximum score of 15. And I have a feeling this one may extend into the cap by a significant margin. If we get another of these grindy points. I mean, the opener for this match, 7 turnovers total.
Well, I was going to say there have been some really grindy points. Part of it is the language barrier, as we have another look at some of the turnovers from that last point. 2 turnovers apiece. Bear in mind, that was a Canadian hold in their first score of the half. And some of those turnovers really coming about from excellent defensive pressure. As you see, straight after that, the Japanese couldn't even get a single pass together. Erica Edgell knew exactly what was coming, exactly where to put herself. And then really good work against the constricting zone the Japanese trying to put, the line trap not working in that instance, an inside scoop, and then from then it was just zigzags down the centre of the pitch to score. So I definitely think the Canadians are learning their way into this match as we enter the closing exchanges. They have the answer sheet. It's can they translate it onto the field.
Shimizu making her way to the brick mark. Yeah, nice, quick, rapid movement and flow. Foul call just next to the disc. Emily Marshall getting wrapped up with Ryu Shimizu.
Okay.
ボンってぶつかっちゃったんですけど、それは一緒に行ってたからファウルじゃなかったけど、その後にボンって押された感じで。
On the first one was okay because they were both going into the disc, but the second one she feels like there was a contact on the.
I feel like we were both running and I was like stopping my momentum and she was coming into me, and so it was more like incidental contact of like me stopping and like us both coming into it.
1回目は2人ともこう勢いでぶつかったけど、2回目は勢い止めて、そのまま優が勢いのままにいったから止まったんじゃないか。だからわざとじゃなくて自然に分かってる。一緒にそうだって。だから自分もぶつかっちゃったけど、なんて言えばいいの。気をつけましょうね。
She just wants to mention that. Let's just keep it clean.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Foul accepted.
I think it's no.
No foul?
No call.
Okay. Foul retracted.
Count.
Well, discussions just setting expectations for contact here, by the sounds of things. But of course, you are going to expect the Canadian defenders to be trying to fight for every inch in this game. That's that little hustle poach from Cheer. But just as returning to the stack, has to scramble around Kanasagabe with great focus. A little stumble in the end zone. Sagabe with a last-minute pop. Oh, that's a find from Hinago. Over the line, just about. Over the layout as well. Kawayanagi with Japan's 10th goal as they edge ever closer to the final tomorrow.
Kawayanagi has been incredible in this game. Was quite a performer the first time these two teams matched up as well, but continually finding those holes in the Canadian defence, making herself available and making things just a bit easier for those handlers as they swing across the pitch. Really showing her experience as an offensive handler and how it informs her cutting when she does move downfield. There's the call, the timing, perfect, and even with the athletic bid, never really coming close. So Japan 10-7 up, about 6 minutes left in this game. It's getting to do or die time now for the Canadians.
Yeah, it's exactly that. At the moment, it really does feel like Japan are in control of the tempo and the feeling of this game. They are playing very smart defense. The Canadians are trying to find the spaces to get more of these run-through blocks, but some of the spicy turnovers they've had on the opportunities, but that's an opportunity and a half in the end zone. Who on earth was supposed to be covering Madoka Woke? Because there was no one anywhere near.
I think they fell asleep on the defensive side. Woke was gone. Absolute acreage. She could open up a farm down there to collect the disc. Again, it reflects the way the Canadians are learning all the time and working out, okay, so if we bring all of the Japanese attention towards the disc, if we move it all to right in front of the throwers, can get that swing off and attack into the open space. You can see there, the help defense is way back in the middle of the pitch. Woke is all the way in the end zone. That's what they needed, a quick hit back. Excellently set up and thrown. Although, with that much separation, I dare say I might be able to... No, you're right, that is too far to go. But still, fantastic cutting, coming from the fantastic tactical application of what the Canadians have learned so far in this game, as there seems to be... I actually don't think that was a timeout, because the Canadians are on the line. I think Japan just doing what they do best, and that is coming together as a team and lifting each other up.
Well, just after we compliment the Japanese for playing very intelligent defence, they get away with one for Canada. That one will feel probably like a little injection of oxygen. Of course, that long shot there of one of the players of this match on both sides of the disc for Canada, Erica Edgell.
And we're talking about intelligent application. That's one of the smartest players. You saw her get that that really well weighted and really well pounced block from the J-stack the Japanese tried to run the last time they did it. Can't use the same trick twice with Eric Edgell.
So Eloi readying for the pull, but there we do see that second run up. And as some of the other games conclude, the stands fill up a little more to watch the last few minutes of this match. Love the varietal fakes. Swings around. Kawayanagi through to Sogabe. Of course, many of these Japanese athletes with that silver medal experience from Nottingham. Then squeezing up line, Sogabe. Great communication from the Canadian defenders, like the switches they're putting on, but a pick.
Japan very comfortable sacrificing yards to retain possession, especially as they know the amount of time that is left in this game. They are out in front. All they've got to do is keep pace, and they'll make their way right into the final.
Although Canada definitely do have the class to put on one heck of a comeback if they need to. Hinago with the leading, blading forehand. Yoshida, and the goal for Japan. Big stretch layout, but just couldn't find an edge. Kuredo.
And really cleaning up their offense. You can see a bit of frustration for the Canadians, but it's so hard to put any kind of limitation when the Japanese are moving that crisply. They've grown into this game and they are very much conscious for this moment. The fans in the stands, the celebration on the pitch, it all screams good vibes. But when the disc is in play, it is professional. They're taking care of business. Those quick swings, happy to lose yards against the poaches so that they don't throw into any traps. They've learned where those traps are coming from. As we have a look at one of those truly prolific scorers for the Japanese side, Hashizume gives so much confidence to the throwers. A frequent target when going downfield for the deep looks, times her throws really well, appreciates and understands which one of her handlers has the disc in hand and which move to make for them. That the inside throw here, making another cut, knows that the disc is going to come, knows where it's going to come from, chases it down. That's a very hard disc to read, but Hashizume very, very adept at it. And should Japan be the ones to book themselves in the final, the biggest correction they need to have is getting some more successful deep shots, as that's what failed against the US and really allowed them to build up that massive lead. Hikari Hashizume, very important today, very, very important should the Japanese make the final.
Well, hailing from Kobe City originally, we know they create absolutely high quality Wagyu beef there, but certainly also some high quality athletes. Real credit to this Japanese women's program. So we're back to the zone. Canada have really played such intelligent offense, figuring out these channels with the overheads. Oh, that's a bit of a scoop, isn't it? Love the scuba, but it asks a lot of Shannon. Then trying to get the motion going. Moving the cup around.
And I think part of the desire for this zone is make this point last at least a minute so that if Canada score, we come back on offense straight away for the goal and the win.
Shannon with the nerves of steel. Nice throw through to Leonese. Oh, and a casual backhand, but well taken away by Woke. Canada punching it in. And so it's going to be probably finish this point and add one.
And again, the Canadians, they've started to work out those inside shots through the centre of the cup, especially from the line trap, are what's really undoing them, finding that space in the middle. And then it's from there, it's just an easy finish. You can swing away.
We have to talk about this women's division as a whole, I think, at this moment, Lorcan, and say decidedly these three teams within the championship top bracket alongside the USA, they're so tough to tussle over. It's really so compelling to watch these games. Of course, last time these two meeting in the pool stages went all the way to Universe, but the women's division of the future is looking healthy.
Yes, and also it's great to see the three different continents represented. Of course, Japan from Asia, Canada, the US from North America, they're always around. But GB flying the flag for Europe, and we've talked about it a little bit already, but that's a really big achievement for that program to come back out, especially at the youth level, where we know a lot of countries in Europe and further afield have kind of struggled to bounce back from the pandemic. So fantastic to see that growing across as we enter the soft cap, which will mean it is finish this point and add one. The Canadians in the stands, yeah, got to admit they look a little bit nervous. All that noise, all that flag flying, that's Japanese fans.
Well, the rising sun on the flag of Japan as we reach close to midday.
And the rising daughters on the field for them.
And of course, big shout out as well to Tawa Nakao in that leg cast, still proudly up and down the sidelines. One of these 26 athletes who make up this Japanese women's team for our 2025 World Championship. A collision in the centre pocket. Hinago on the floor. Certainly not someone Japan fans want to see leave the field.
Spectacular grab by Yoshida that might just go a little bit under the radar because of the foul contact in the middle of the pitch. That was a full layout where she had to stop and lay out in the opposite direction to where she was just running. We just have another look here. You see, that's a pivot layout by Yoshida. Stop, drop, and hold.
I think the player stopped
playing after I had already said,
Sheila, do you have any perspective or anything?
And then they said
No.
stop and recognize it, which means that I think that it should come in on third. Oh, it's uncontested. Okay. A defensive foul?
Yes, fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. In on one.
So it's a foul, uncontested. Retract.
Quick discussion there, of course. Marshall fresh off that national championship under the USAU rule set. Nice coverage on the person defense. Again, these really active forces trying to challenge Japan's handlers. Shizumi up line, not taken. Now Sugabe. But the smackdown is coming through strong. Beausoleil uses the gloved paws, some fresher legs. Not said her name too many times in this game, but that's a pivotal block.
It's also the first turnover we had since it was 9-7 to Japan. See downfield, the Japanese players all poaching into the open side, but based on how far down the pitch they are, they're angling it. So just near, it's a form of Kawayanagi who's in the flat open, whereas Sugabe is just going to take off a little bit deeper.
Nice workaday layout for Eloire. Bump on the mark, so we'll get a brief chat about that. Foul call. Of course, contact, one of our newer rules in the WFDF set, allowing that contact to occur without interrupting the flow. But dropping the stalk out.
Yeah. Okay, so coming in on one.
Zhang. Tempted by the deeper space. That one just sails too far. Ernest. And that's a massive layout to try and get it back. Cho going for the full stretch. But the defense slightly out of position. Japan unable to capitalize immediately. Oh, that's a squeeze and a half of a break backhand and a lead into the end zone for Japan women. It's Kawayanagi on the other side that we normally see her, but what a piece of flow from Japan.
And it is all unlocked by that break and a diagonal run all the way down the pitch. Once they get a single around off you, you know the rest of your marks are going to have to overcommit. As marking the spot, an open target. But when the force comes over, celebrating and so proud of their home country. So it's this. Well, that was the initial turnover, actually. Fantastic run through block. Beausoleil. And then just overshooting down the line. And from here, it is just diagonal. That's the around. So then watch the marks. They all have to overcommit to try and stop the continuation, which just opens up that inside channel as long as the Japanese keep running up that way. So once that first around comes up, it's inside, inside.
Well, the crucial moments here. Canada need to take on a defensive stand of their careers as they see Japan lead 12-9.
The 2025 club season is upon us, and Ultiworld is bringing you all the action. Ultiworld is the best place for live video, news, highlights, and analysis of your favorite teams and players. Make sure to subscribe for our extensive live coverage of the USAU club season, including the thrilling club championships in San Diego in October, exclusively on Ultiworld.
Japan chasing down the ball and taking charge in this women's semi-final against Canada. Canada coming out on offense. Cap is applied. We are in game to 13 situation. This is really solid flow. Edjo. Lyonnais. I take it back, it's Eloi. Another francophone surname. A stumble in the centre of the pitch, but no call. That one spicy as it gets, and even Brudney cannot make the distance. So this to take Japan through to the finals tomorrow. A big ripper of a backhand. Matsuoka sends it, but an interruption off the paws of Millie Wright.
Yeah, I never liked that shot for the Japanese, and I think that's a little bit of a moment getting into the mind, because there was 2 Canadians down there and you want some more separation if you're going to try and throw those hucks.
Yeah, Canadian defenders have done a fantastic job of using help defense on these Japanese big shots. Eloi with the focus, with the hands, and that is a shot downfield. Great grab underneath. All alone is Woke, but backed up, and that is a very solid hold. Had a little interruption, but Erica Edger once more going to bat for Canada. I would expect Lorcan to see her play the next point.
I would expect to see a lot of those players step out for the next point. Brudney as well, as we see Madoka Woke. So that was a hold. There have been no breaks in the second half of this matchup. 9-6. We came, well, 8-6 it was at halftime. 9-6 Japanese starting on offense after getting 3 breaks in the first half and able to carry that lead in. So you see a lovely put straight out in front. There's the separation that's necessary, and then the support does arrive. So despite a couple of turnovers either way, we've only had actually 2 points that had turnovers. At 9-7 there was 4 turnovers, 2 apiece. Offensive hold for Canada, and they're at 12-9, 2 turnovers. Again, and it ends in a hold for Japan. So now Canada with that score to push it out to 12-10. The game remains very tightly contested. Can Canada get the necessary 3 breaks in a row to take this home? They have scored 3 in a row on Japan before.
Japan's set plays during this game have been very sweet looking. What do you reckon?
I think they set it up, but Canada are so aware there's no way a Japanese hook comes off in the first 4 passes. If that happens, someone isn't listening to their coaches. And if there's something we know about this Canadian D-line, it's that they listen to their coaches.
Well, first match point of 3. Nice find in the centre pocket for Hinago. Oh, that's got a lot of air underneath it, but a mature track down from Kawayanagi. Then back to Sagabe. Love to see the Hachimakis on some of these players' heads, showing their national pride.
Eloi is just hanging out in the deep space.
Hinago. Oh, the throwaway, asking even too much of Hachizume.
That was Helwar's player, completely unmarked. A little bit of a gift there, if we're being honest.
Maybe that's a confusion. Surely you should have a defender near you, as we get the layout clap catch just to make sure for Brooklyn Cheer. Oh, that's a shot. Massive, opening up the space and tracked down, not by the player intended, but by the teammates supporting Emma Ernest with the break for Canada.
Fantastic support cover. That is the definition of a trust throw. Not the biggest fan, not the most separation, hanging it up there and just backing your own receivers. Ernest backing her teammates and chasing that down to help get and secure the first break of the second half. 12-11, 2 more to go. So we have another look at just the throwaway. Eloi, not even in the area code. No, actually, as this throw, it was always curving towards the break side, so it's actually quite a smart throw to take it away from the defender. Either Canadian was in a pretty strong position. Herculean effort to try and get the block.
That's a much bigger version of it, but that really is reminiscent of the offense that the Canadians played in the first half in the end zone. They're throwing each other open, that lead charge that I have an idea. I think you're in the right spot, go get it. But that's the first break for the entirety of this second half. Of course, quite a long first half. But Emma Ernest coming through and quite rightly earning another bite at the cherry to take us to Universe.
So the Canadians have done this before. They didn't score 4 in a row last time, but they did score 3 and able to really push the Japanese. At this point, they've got all the information they could ever hope for against this side to try and limit the massive flick pull.
Well, Zhang, we've already said it, plenty of experience, both on the U24 cycles back in the Gold Coast with the senior team doing work last time around. Looks at the upline opportunity. Nasu, the jet girl herself, looking for an option. Sends it over the defense's hands. That's an amazing grab for Hinago. Smooth moves. Nice and patient Yoshida. Thinks about the up line. That has the turnaround instead. Kazumi Nasu. Under the eyes of her parents. Hinago now. Amazing coverage from the Canadian defenders, and it requires the layout for Kasumi Nasu. Inches shy.
All game long, they've been hitting that up the line. I mean, Nasu, that's why she is known as the jet girl. She can turn them on and take off. There's an injury call. That looks like Biosele, who's going to be stepping off for the Canadians. Just trying to keep our eyes out. Very interesting to see who will come on.
Missed by a whisper, that layout grab, and it's going to be who else? Lily Shannon has been bang on the money for this Canadian offense. It's that little change of personnel to bring us to Universe Point finish. A throw with so much air underneath it, but what a take. Ernest. And now another Canadian grab. Millie Wright brings us to Universe Point. Canada women leading the charge in the dying moments of this women's semi-final.
And I've said it before, but that is the importance of feeding Ernest, such a reliable receiver downfield. Massive shot, crowd of people underneath, and Ernest just gets big and takes it down. There's another look at the overthrow. Give a bit of credit to the mark and to the full 7-person defense by the Canadian line to put that much pressure and put that much tension into it. Here's the big grab over the group. Plenty of pressure coming down. Shrugging it off quite literally. The dump reset, the shot to the end zone, and look, my instincts were correct. We're going to Universe, 12-12.
Well, after some strange energy throughout the course of this match, it was difficult to call, but the Canadian playbook now really starting to find the vibe.
Universe Point to go to the final of Worlds. These are the moments that live in your mind forever. But do they haunt you, or do they lift you up? Japan have been in the lead of this game ever since they got that first break to go 1-0 up.
And such a crucial break. By taking the first score, Japan have given themselves back the advantage that they may have missed on the flip. So this one for a berth into the final against the USA tomorrow. Nearly the drop pull. A scramble. They're going to talk about it, as you would expect in this moment. Scenes.
Absolute scenes. Have another look.
Do you want to check the video? Okay, just have her put the disc here.
Well, it's not the first big women's game where we've had a chat
but
about a drop ball.
just put the disc there so we can just go.
Mine goes back to the U20 women's final last year.
Okay. Canada? You have it? Canada? Do you have it or not?
Even with the replay, Lorcan, that one...
I can't tell.
Yeah.
I genuinely can't tell.
No?
Like, I was pretty sure it was up for the most part, but then that final little flick, 'cause remember, it's any blade of turf.
It might...
Any flash of rubber crumb.
Okay. It's already taking a little bit too long.
So up. I don't know. I don't know at that point.
Because we can't see the hands, and the hands are the really important part there.
Okay,
But I mean,
no
the
replay.
gloves
So
probably giving an extra edge.
there's no... Yeah. Yeah. It's already too long. Okay. In my perspective, I didn't see it touch the ground.
I think at this level, I mean, it's the pulls. What? Can't send it back.
So the game advisor giving perspective.
Call retracted!
Call retracted, there we go.
Wow.
Sheila Quintos there with a big call. Didn't see it touch the ground. So, I'm sure the heart rate will have gone through the roof for the Japanese line here.
And I do think something like this, it benefits the defense, because this just lets that nervousness sit in the belly of the offenders. They have no chance to run it off them and run themselves into this incredibly important point. It's just a matter of now you got to sit here and wait.
Well, the magician herself, of course, magician girl in that number 33 shirt, Ryu Shimizu. Violation upfield. Pick call, I believe.
You see on the wide look, Elwha's just taken up a sweeping position, to borrow a soccer term. I believe safety, maybe for our North Americans.
Big goaltending.
Just sitting in the backfield.
Low throw, well handled upfield by Hashizume. Shimizu throws to the end zone, and that's game for Japan. They are going into the final. They've not missed one in the campaign history in this women's division, and in 2025 it's the same story.
Shimizu reaching deep within the bag and pulling out one last trick for this game. Brilliantly done. But it's not just about one magician, it's not just about one jet girl, it's about that whole squad, the communication that runs across them, the dancing, the voices might be mistaken for playfulness. No, it is deadly serious. This team plays for each other, they lift each other up, and once again they return to the rarefied air, the upper echelon of the under-24s, and face off against the USA in a final. One last look at that incredible throw, just textbook fundamentals. That's how they teach you to play in Japan, and look, they've never missed a final. That's why they teach you to play that way, Hannah.
Well, absolute credit to their nation are the Canadians. You see right there on your screen the Japanese players, after celebrating the initial, they all came in and ran towards Toa Nakao, of course, with those crutches and that big cast on the left leg. Every part of this 26 strong roster so vital for the campaign. But I just want to shout out a few of Canada's defensive heroes. I mean, Erica Edgell, the throws from Abba Brudney, and of course, you got to feed Emma Ernest a couple of biscuits after this one. They're going to have to do some recovery, though. We will, of course, be covering the women's bronze medal match later on today, but the team on your screen right now will be heading into the final against the USA women's team tomorrow. Of course, a rematch from our power pool stages. If they can find the form they had here today, that result could go pretty close. So looking at the stats for you, A game of a whisper, a hair, not even a centimetre, a millimetre since we're here in Europe in the metric system. Total turnovers 16-16-8, universe point finish in pool play as well, with Canada taking that one. Well, it's hard to beat the same team twice, but what a semi-final that turned out to be. Japanada, this time the Japanese ascending. So pride from all of the supporting outfits. You can see the emotions for the Canadian cheering section. So close, but yet not quite enough for Canada's women this time around. But they will be going to the women's bronze later today, bringing you all this coverage, a bounty of U24 action here from Logroño, España. So that game had everything and a little bit extra. Japan taking the first break and holding it through in the first half stages. Lovely inside window, so much support for each other, and these set plays looking very strong this fine Friday morning. Amazing scenes from the Canada players as well. They had so much to show us, so much to give, and rose through in the late stages. Couldn't quite push it all the way, but they're going to play for a third place in the world later on this afternoon. But Japan sending themselves into finals 13-12 over Canada.